So what is going on, guys? I'm Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video on the channel. I don't really know what type of video this is going to be. Is it going to be a little bit of a rant? I guess. It's more of a concern or a realization that I've just had as I was recording another video to do with the zombie storyline. The Ether, so the old one from World War II Black Ops 4 and the Dark Ether story from Cold War to now in Modern Warfare 3. It is a very convoluted storyline. It's confusing, it's a mess, but you can tie it all together to make it make sense. That was until I realized, or I should say I remembered, that the Chaos story is also now canon to the Dark Ether story, which would also make it canon to the Ether storyline as well, since it's a continuation of that. Back in Black Ops 4 Zombies, when we were introduced to this new storyline, we had the old one with the Primus and Ultimus characters, Richtoff and Taki and Nikolai and Dempsey, and then at the same time, Treyarch brought in a brand new storyline as well, which they called Chaos, that revolved around 4 new characters: Scarlet, Diego, Bruno, and Shaw. And again, for the most part, this was fine because the two were separated. Chaos was a brand new story that wasn't connected to the Ether one in any way. At least that's what we were told by Jason Blundell. He specifically came out and clarified that this new Chaos storyline had absolutely no connection to the Ether.
Are the two stories connected in any way? Is it a clean break?
They are not connected. They're not connected. They're not connected anyway. They are two separate stories completely. So no one believes me, by the way. No one believes me. I've said this out now multiple times. I even said it to your camera. I've said it multiple times. They are not connected.
And that was fine for me, because Ether was already extremely complicated. To then add another element to that was totally different. The Chaos storyline introduced a whole new bunch of characters. It revolved more around mythology than, I would say, realism, or at least supernatural. That was the Ether story. Ether started out semi-realistic with Nazi experiments and the Illuminati, but then later on introduced alien-like creatures such as the Keepers, the Apothecons. But the Chaos storyline, the premise of that was totally different. It worked around ancient cults and ancient mythology. Egyptian, Celtic, Greek mythology, Zeus, Hercules, Pegasus, even Medusa, who was a big character. The thing that created these zombies in the Chaos storyline was totally different to Ether, being something called Prima Materia. That was what replaced 115. The two storylines just didn't co-align. They had different rules within their respective universes, and that was fine because they were separate. I mean, ultimately that failed and may have been a mistake on Treyarch's part, because what happened was the Chaos storyline was cancelled. It never made it past Black Ops 4, even though it was supposed to. Treyarch's plan was to end the Ether storyline in Black Ops 4 and then continue the Chaos one after that in Cold War, probably Vanguard, Modern Warfare 3, and now in Black Ops 6. This should have been the Chaos story. However, it was canned in Black Ops 4, partly due to people just not being as interested in it as they were the Ether one. If the two were part of the same story, then perhaps that wouldn't have happened. However, that was the decision that Treyarch decided to take, and ultimately, because of the storyline at least, how different they were, it was the best decision. Chaos and Ether, as we were told by Jason Blundell himself, were totally separate. There was no connection, and that was fine. But then, all of a sudden, in Vanguard Zombies, randomly out of the blue, halfway through that game in Shinonuma, there was a radio which contradicted everything that we were told. The Chaos storyline was now canon to Ether and the Dark Ether.
It reminds me of when I studied the writings of Alistair Rhodes, an amateur demonologist and personal hero of mine. Rhodes wrote about different objects of power that he called sentinel artifacts, but I was never able to find out exactly what they were. Nevertheless, if we can find the relic we seek at Shinonuma, I am quite certain I can use it on Von List and trap Cortifex in that little scepter of his.
We heard Professor Kraft, who was one of the main characters in Vanguard Zombies, talking about how he studied the writings of Alistair Rhodes, who wrote about these Sentinel artifacts, which in the Chaos story were created by the Nine to harness and protect the power of Prima Materia, what creates the undead. So the Chaos storyline suddenly became canon with the Dark Ether, which in my opinion is a problem because these two stories originally weren't written to go together, and especially since this connection was only made in Vanguard Zombies after the multiverse was destroyed, this means the Chaos story exists in the same universe as the Dark Ether one. You could find an excuse if it was a part of the old timeline when the multiverse did exist. You could say, well, Chaos happens in one of the many universes out there. It is just one of the many different scenarios that happened within all of the different dimensions. It could be explained away as just one of of the many deviations of events that happened within the multiverse. If Treyarch made this connection in Black Ops 4, that would be logical and make sense, although kind of annoying, but still. However, to connect it to the Dark Ether story after the multiverse is destroyed means Cold War, Vanguard, and the Modern Warfare 3 universe is in the same universe and timeline as Chaos. Yet the two tell a story that is so contradictory to one another, in my opinion, that it doesn't make sense. How can we have Prime Materia and Divinium, which is what creates the undead in the new Dark Ether story? Divinium is essentially the same as 115. It's a more evolved version of it after it was sent into the Dark Ether, but we now have two different things that create the undead in the same universe. Now in Cold War, Modern Warfare 3 and Vanguard, ancient mythology is also relevant. Medusa exists in this timeline. There was a reason why the writers originally intended these to be separate stories, because they don't go together. Now, the one thing I will say is this would have been a great opportunity for Treyarch to finish off the Chaos story, because if you take your minds back to Black Ops 4 and Ancient Evil, well, it was never finished. It was left on a cliffhanger in that final map, where the Oracle was revealed to be Medusa, Bruno and Shaw became members of the Order, Diego was the only one left alive, and Scarlet was knocked out, we assume, by Medusa. We're not 100% sure what happened to her, because that was where the storyline finished. Because Treyarch cancelled it in Black Ops 4 and never continued it after that, we were left on a huge cliffhanger. Medusa was going to the Library of Alexandria, but that was it. It was so clearly supposed to carry on, but it didn't. And this would have actually been a great opportunity for Treyarch to tell us what happened after that and finish that storyline off without them actually giving us a game through radios like this one right here. Kraft could have told us, well, he heard stories of these characters going to Delphi in Greece, and then Medusa went to the Library of Alexandria, and then after that she did this and she did that, and this was the result of it. But Vanguard Zombies did none of that. This was the, as far as I can remember, the only radio we had regarding events in that game, and that's it. We've heard nothing of the Chaos story since, just this one random radio. Why would Treyarch not then use this opportunity of connecting the two to continue to tell that story and finish it off? Why would they not give us a couple more radios in Vanguard Zombies, which would give us a conclusion to the Chaos storyline? Because now we've had Modern Warfare 3 since then, we've heard nothing again in this game. I assume in Black Ops 6 we're not going to hear anything in that game, because it was Kraft who was speaking on that situation, and well, his time is gone now. We won't be hearing about him in Black Ops 6, or we shouldn't do anyway. Vanguard Zombies was Treyarch's opportunity to continue and finish telling the Chaos story through radios or ciphers, documents, but they didn't do that. They just basically confirmed that it is connected to the current Zombies timeline, but missed a huge opportunity to finish it and tell us how it ended. And instead, they've just left us with even more questions, making it relevant again to Cold War, Vanguard, Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 6. Why not just leave it in the past and not bring it up at all? There was absolutely no need, because now if you want to tell the entire Call of Duty Zombies storyline from Treyarch, you have to include all of the Chaos timeline, because that's also canon. That whole game takes place before Vanguard Zombies, during the early 1900s. As I was making my video going through the Call of Duty Zombies timeline from game to game, and then came to the point of Black Ops 4 and realised this actually is a part of the story now, and I have to include it and talk about it, otherwise you're leaving a huge gap. Whilst I still don't think it makes a difference to the storyline, the events of Chaos could totally not exist, and it more than likely wouldn't affect anything. Kraft talks about how he studied Alistair's work, so perhaps that would affect what he does in Vanguard Zombies. If he never studied Alistair's work, then he might have done something which would result in a different ending to what we got with the death of Cortifex. I doubt it, so I still don't think it's that important, but it is canon. And the worst thing about it is, it seems like this was just a random thing that Treyarch did. It was never planned, it was never originally intended. They didn't need to do this, but to, I don't know, make the story in Vanguard seem more interesting or convoluted or have more substance, they just decided to randomly mention that, oh wait, Chaos is all of a sudden relevant to the Dark Ether timeline. It's canon. Yeah, it didn't need to be, it wasn't supposed to be, but now it is, because why not? It just makes something that is already very complicated even worse. I don't think they should have ever done this, because, well, now you can't go back and they've also not said anything about it since. You don't even get the best of both worlds. Either they should have just not mentioned it at all and no one would have even questioned it, or you continue to bring it up and finish the storyline off. However, they did neither. So yeah, there we go. Something for me that kind of ruins the Call of Duty Zombies storyline, or is at least a big inconvenience if you're hoping to understand it all. But they've done it now and, well, it is what it is. So yeah, there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.